Welcome to the Pop-Off with Gene FitzMagic and friends. Your daily sports and entertainment radio show, live all over the world. You're going to want to hear what these guys have to say. With their hot takes, recaps, previews, and predictions, sometimes these guys might get along, but most times, they won't. So see what happens when these guys pop off about the world of sports and entertainment.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is May 10th. It is Wednesday, and joining me today, I'm Gene, and actually, I forgot to say my name. I am Gene, and joining me today is Matt Hamilton, Abby Washington. No Caleeb today, no Nigel today. They'll be back next week. Actually, Nigel won't be back for a couple of weeks. He's on hiatus. He had some stuff to come up, so he'll be back probably about another 2 weeks or so. But Caleeb will be back on Monday. But we do have Matt and Abby in the house. How you guys doing?
I'm good.
We got some stuff that. We got some NFL leaks we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the NFL, the NBA games that came out, a lack of a suspension that me and Abby agree with. We'll see where Matt falls on that. And Matt today is fighting for his playoff lives in Toronto, or actually in Florida, but for Toronto. How do we feel about tonight's game?
Well, Gene, we don't feel good, buddy.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry.
But hey, listen, it's happened before. Fuck it. Let's go. Who cares?
Listen, they're too good of a team to be. Listen, the Panthers for real beating the Bruins, and then coming here. They shouldn't have been. They shouldn't even have won 3 games against Toronto. Could they really be for real?
Yeah, well, it's hockey, man. If your goalie's good, if your goalie's really good, then guess what? That works.
Yeah.
And their goalie's been really fucking good. Like, I mean, it's very realistic. We should be up 2-1 right now.
I agree, and you know what?
I mean, whatever. So way she goes. That's hockey. We're down 3-0. We're probably fucked, but let's see.
Well, as of now, if you had to pick a GOAT, who's your GOAT? Like, I don't mean greatest of all time. I mean GOAT, meaning like, who's the GOAT? Who
on the Leafs.
Yeah, on the Leafs. Who is the guy that really screwed you guys this series?
You know what? There hasn't been.
Or is it more that Florida just been playing that well?
Mitch Marner didn't play very good last game, and he's been, he's one of the best players in the league. He had, shockingly, kind of a pretty bad game, but he's been really good kind of outside of that. TJ Brody was probably our best defenseman all year. Mm-hmm. He's had some really rough games, and even that overtime goal that we lost, he got kind of beat to the puck, out of position. And, I mean, our goalie got hurt last game too, which –
Didn't Brody used to play for the Panthers?
No, he played for the Flames.
The Flames. Okay. All right. I remember there was all right. That must have been it.
Either way, it's not great. Right? But I mean, like game 2, we played pretty awesome outside of 1 minute where our best players, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, I wouldn't say Bunting's our best player, but they turned the puck over and Florida scored 2 goals in a minute. And now we're losing. Well,
hopefully we're talking on Friday about the beginning of a comeback.
Yeah, agreed.
So fingers crossed. I'm rooting for you, buddy. I'm rooting for the Leafs purely for Matt Hamilton.
Thank you.
For you. So we weren't going to talk about it today, but there's been some leaks already. We expected them to come out a little bit later, so we didn't have it planned to talk about. So we're gonna kind of freestyle it a little bit. But NFL leaks for the NFL season have dropped this morning. And some notable games, if Patty could pull up at least the first portion of the schedule of some of the leaks. We got week 2, Eagles at Chiefs. Obviously, these are all rumors. But Eagles at Chiefs rematch of the Super Bowl week 2. I think we're all excited to see that. Week 4, London, we get some of the London games. Falcons versus Jaguars in week 4 in London. Jaguars versus Bills in week 5 in London. Send the Bills overseas. I'm fine with that. Ravens and Titans also in London. And then Dolphins and Chiefs in Germany, which I'm surprised to see them make a Super Bowl champion go across the ocean. You figure they give them a little bit of an easier schedule, on the mainland. And then Colts and Patriots in Germany, and then we'll come back to it. So yeah, go through it all and we'll come back to it. Here's the one that I'm excited about, not just because I'm a Jets fan, because I've been saying to me and Abby, we're talking off camera before how we've been saying that for years they should have had a Black Friday game. Finally, they've done it. Dolphins versus Jets on Black Friday, which is, besides the fact that's just going to be a good matchup in general, I'm glad to see they finally have put something on a Friday, Thanksgiving Friday. And then Christmas Day, we got the Eagles Giants, which is going to be, I believe, we're going to do 3 games Christmas Day, which falls on a Monday this year. They announced already Eagles Giants. and then Bengals Chiefs, which to me is a question mark. Isn't that kind of late in the season to let a possible AFC Championship game go that late in the year? Usually it's the divisional games of the last game of the season. So, well, I guess that's the second to last, right? It's week 17, but still that late in the season, you expect it to be more divisional games, not AFC matchups like that. But you know what, Abby, I know you're excited to talk about this Jet game. So, but other than the Jet game, and we'll talk about the Jet game in a second. But other than the Jet game, which is the game that excites you that was leaked the most?
I mean, I think the Eagle. It's hard because so my natural reaction is I like that Bengals Chiefs matchup. I don't like it that late in the season. You made a good point. I'm just literally realizing that as you're talking about it now. It doesn't make sense because they potentially will probably play again in a few weeks from there. Mm-hmm. So I guess, I mean, it might be good preparation going into the playoffs, but those teams I've already met before. They already know what they're essentially working with. But I mean, I'm surprised. I want to eventually make a Jets game in London. I'm surprised they're not going. They usually always send them there. But I do think it's weird with the Chiefs going over. Mm-hmm. Then they're kind of a little further away from the East Coast. One of the teams that are right on the end there. But obviously, I'm most excited about the Jets Miami game on that Black Friday day. It's going to be a great game. And it's at MetLife too, on top of that.
It's going to be a signature win for one of them. I don't know who it's going to be a signature win for one of them. And again, the part that I don't like mostly about the Bengals Chiefs that late in the year is what if one of the teams aren't playing for something? I want to see it. If you're going to see Bengals Chiefs, you want to see a good matchup. You want to see two powerful teams go head to head, not late in the season where teams might be a little banged up, or you might be resting players because you already have the division locked up. I want to see them play like week 8, week 9, week 10, right there in the middle of the season when they got their stride going. They still have a ton to play for. It's not a couple of weeks from when they might meet up in the postseason. I feel like they lose a little bit by putting it this late. Matt, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think that's probably by design because week 17, 18, you get a lot of kind of duster matchups where teams are just out of it or teams are resting players and it's not that exciting. So maybe the thought process there is, well, let's put two teams we expect to be near the top of the conference against each other. And, you do it week 17, so maybe there won't be any resting. Who knows?
Well, if there's no resting, it's going to be a shootout, which flash forward, if you're a fantasy football owner and you have a chance, you have a draft this year and you think you might make it to the Super Bowl, you would have either Mahomes or Burrows in a possible shootout in your Super Bowl week. In fantasy. So that could be something that might be as far as the fantasy aspect of it.
I like the Christmas Day games. I mean, it sucks for the NBA because the NBA owned Christmas forever.
Yeah, but now America NFL is king.
Yeah, and the NFL just blows them right out of the water. So but I personally love it. Like I like watching the NBA on Christmas Day, but I also like having the option, and I prefer watching football. So it's awesome. I love that. 3 games on Christmas Day.
I wonder if NBA takes a little bit of if they maybe redo their schedule a certain way where they're not going to be as big. That's like again, like you said it. The NBA's owned Christmas Day for the last X amount of years. Do they maybe say, okay, we'll pump the brakes on Christmas this week, we'll punt on Christmas this year, and not put up any of the big games, maybe a game or two, or are they going to still go full swing and put their big games their signature games of the year on Christmas Day, and then really let it be because if that can you imagine how crazy of a sports day that would be? You need 2 TVs just to be able to keep up with everything, and it's going to be nonstop sports from the minute you wake up, open your presents Christmas morning to going to bed Christmas night. It's going to be it's already nonstop football. Now you can throw basketball into the mix where your pre-games or your halftime show, instead of watching the halftime show or watching the pre-game, you can go right to the NBA and come right back to the NFL. So I hope the NBA still goes full swing with big games.
I think they will because I mean it'll still be a draw. I mean they'll get killed in the ratings, but it's still going to be if you throw the Lakers there, you throw Golden State there, throw the Knicks there, people are going to watch. Yeah. So well they don't have the monopoly on the day anymore, unfortunately for them. But I still think they got to put their Golden States out there, put their big guns, Toronto Raptors.
That we'll talk a little Toronto Raptors a little later. The Jet game again. I know it's because I'm a Jet fan, but I'm just happy to see them put a game there. I've been saying for years. I don't know why they don't put a game there on Black Friday. you know, a lot of, you know, it's everybody's home.
And everyone's off.
And nowadays,
everyone's at Walmart on Black Friday.
To an extent, but I feel like nowadays it's more people shop online anyway. So like more people are home Black Friday than ever before. So I feel like why not have something that people can watch kind of hungover from the night before when you wake up out of your food coma Thursday morning. I think they should have a couple of games on Friday. Give me 2 or 3 games. Give me like a full lineup like you would have Thanksgiving. Give me the same lineup on Friday too, man. I would love to see it.
And if I read it correctly, I think the game's going to be on Amazon Prime, which is
I believe Amazon Prime, and it's going to be a 3:00 game, which means I don't know if it's going to be a night game, but give me a night game too. Well, no, night game might be a little tough, but on a Friday. But give me that 3:00 game and maybe a 6:00 game. You know, I would love to see them put another. I don't think there's plans to put a second game. I think that's the only one we get, and is just the Jet Dolphins. But I've been saying for years, I think they should make that a day.
It's funny. Well. I literally just realized right now too. It kind of sucks because usually, you know, I'm a huge U of A Wildcat fan. They usually play ASU the day after Thanksgiving, and it's usually I don't know. It might interfere with me being able to catch the game if it's a 3 p.m. game.
Abby, you better watch that.
That's the only unfortunate thing.
Abby, you better watch those Jets, Abby. You better watch those
I know.
Jets.
Well, I can stream the game. I'm not opposed to streaming a game in a whole stadium.
There you go. So, all right. So let's get into some of this NBA, man. Some big games the last couple of days. We're going to talk a little Knicks Miami Heat first, since that's the furthest one out. 109-101. I know we got game 5 tonight. I'm hoping they're not going to close it out on our home court. But it feels like they are, because I feel like the Knicks are playing lifeless right now. Every time they made a run in that game a couple nights ago, the Heat would let them get within 3 or 4 points, and then they just pull back by hitting. And it would be like they hit threes in bunches. Like the Knicks would come up, get within like 2 or 3 points, and all of a sudden here you go. You got Strus hitting 3-pointers and knocking it back down to like a 9-point lead. And then I know we were talking before about Jokic being like a flopper, but I got to tell you, if I see another Lowry flop, Matt, I know it was your guy when he was in Toronto, but you got to admit, this guy flops a ton. Now, it doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, he smart floor general. He's actually, to me, been one of the guys that's really been. There's 2 guys that I see as the MVPs of the series for the Heat. Even though he's coming off the bench, I consider Lowry one of them. I think when he's played such an instrumental part of the Heat, really keeping their leads and whatnot, and causing penalties, and just being just a smart player. But Bam Adebayo is destroying Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson had 33 minutes yesterday and only had 7 rebounds and 6 points. I don't need him to score a lot of points, but you got to give me more than 7 rebounds in 33 minutes. Bam Adebayo is actually mopping the floor with Mitchell Robinson. True or false, Matt?
Yeah, he's getting worked.
Oh, like bad. Like look. I mean, he's having a series of a lifetime. This kid, you know,
he's really good, man.
I liked him to begin with. I'm not saying like this is out of nowhere. He was a good player. But I didn't expect him to make Mitchell Robinson so ineffective, especially when Mitchell Robinson came up a really good Cleveland series. He had a really good series in Cleveland, and he's just been another guy in another center, any random center. What do the Knicks need to do, Matt, to turn this series around, and can they?
Well, fuck, man. I don't understand this. I don't understand Miami. I can't honestly.
I don't either. They're enigma.
No. What's happening? Like Bam and Butler. Like Butler is obviously legit in the playoffs. Like they're getting meaningful minutes from Kevin Love, which is kind of shocking. They get every 3 games. They get a game from Duncan Robinson where he gets like 5 3-pointers. Lowry's coming off the bench, and he, like you said, he's effective. He's smart. He moves the ball well. He plays hard on defense. He fucking flops around. Oh my God.
I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it.
Oh man, he drives everybody nuts, and I get it. When he was on my team, I loved it.
Nope.
But you know, he's a veteran gamer, good shooter, effective, and he's one of those guys too. He can adapt to the offense that's going on. Like he doesn't need to shoot. Like he took 6 shots. No. Like he doesn't need to shoot. If everyone's moving, he doesn't need his points. He doesn't really care. He'll do whatever the team needs, kind of thing. But I mean, I think part of it is getting Randall engaged. Like, if you look at his stat line, 20-9, 8 of 13, you go, oh, that's pretty good. But it's a quiet 20 points, man. That was a quiet 20 points yesterday. Well, and he's lazy. He gets lazy when he doesn't have the ball.
Yeah.
He doesn't hustle on D. And I know he's coming off an ankle injury, but then there's times where when he has a chance at an offensive play, he's sprinting and he looks fine.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times and he just like his body language, if he doesn't get the ball inside or someone turns it over, he misses a rebound, he just stands there. And he gets too often he gets beat to the rebounds or he's out of position. He looks disengaged.
That's the perfect word, because this times you look at his face and you can tell within 3 minutes of that game of a game where he's not gonna have a good game. You can tell within 3 minutes, okay, it's not gonna be his night, because he has like this puss on his face, like he's in a bad mood and he doesn't even want to be there at times. And you're supposed to be. I get it. Jalen Brunson is now the leader of this team, but he's one of our best players. That can't be the case with this guy. You got to stay engaged. Fake it at least. Fake it for me. But if I'm just a fan and I can tell, I can look at you and say, look at his face. He doesn't even want to be here right now. 3 minutes into the game, that's a serious problem, is it not, Abby?
Well, yeah, and then I'm sure you guys talked about his comments that maybe Miami wants him more. That's a piss poor attitude.
You're one of the guys that's on this team that should that's supposed to want it more than Miami. Like that shouldn't even come out of your mouth.
Make your team want it more.
And by talking like that, you don't. I don't know if he was trying to maybe get the rest of the team fired up, but how about fire up yourself first, because you're playing like just another regular forward. You're not playing like a guy who was an all-star and a leader of this team. I'm going to be honest, and we'll talk about what the Knicks do this offseason soon enough once their season's over, which could be by tonight. But we'll talk about it eventually. But I think if there's someone that needs to go from this team, if they're going to make a big change, he's the guy that I think you move.
Easy.
And he had a good enough of a season that it's not going to be as impossible or as hard to move him as it was a few years ago when he had that bad year. A couple of years ago when he had that bad year, I think a lot of people were like, oh, he's going to be impossible to move that contract. I think now you can move that contract. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's as
you can move. Tough. Hey, Gene, you can move any contract in the NBA.
Yeah, but I don't want to add picks to it, and I don't want to take back a bad contract.
Yeah, okay, that's better. I mean, there's times where like no one's moving Russell Westbrook's $48 million contract. He's been traded like 5 times since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like John
bought out,
been traded, and all that kind of shit. So, but yeah, he's easy to move. And what sucks for you, Gene, and Abby, are you a Knicks fan too?
Oh no, I'm a Suns fan, so don't get me started.
You guys got cleaned out last night. You got a great game from RJ Barrett.
Yeah, he's played better. He has played better as of late. I'll give him that. Maybe a little too late, but there was a point where Barrett would be the guy that I would move this offseason, because I would have moved him last year for Mitchell Robinson. I mean, I'm sorry, for Donovan Mitchell.
That'd have been a weird trade. Trade for a guy on your own team.
No, I meant Donovan Mitchell. And again, listen, Donovan Mitchell's on this team. We're in a way better spot right now. Like, we're not a 5 seed. We're not a 4 seed. We're probably, we could be in that 3 seed spot.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of like hindsight's 2020, right? Because even at the time, not a lot of people were like, oh, you should make that trade, because they didn't know what to expect with Donovan Mitchell coming off injury. And he didn't look great the year before. He looked fine, but
yeah.
No one expected him to come out and just be, although having said that, he was kind of bad in the playoffs, but he was awesome this year. And everyone was like, whoa, holy shit. So
you're talking about Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
So it's easy to look back and say we should have made the trade. At the time, I didn't think they should have made the trade.
I'm going to be honest. When what was holding it up was RJ Barrett and first round picks. Let's face it, first round picks in the NBA don't mean as much. And it's like, I don't remember who was the famous guy who originally said F them picks, but I agree with whoever said that, F them picks. In the NBA, like, listen, a first rounder, listen, a second rounder is gold in the NFL, even a second rounder. In the NBA, usually it's usually a crapshoot after like pick 5, right? Then you got to kind of get lucky. You got to make sure you know what you're doing. But it's really a crapshoot. So to have all these picks when they're probably going to be in the 20s and, late teens, 20s, not lottery picks, just move them for a guy. Like, I'm willing to move 4 first-round picks and RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell. I was willing to do that.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, but it would have been worth it. And again, I'm not saying that as hindsight. I said that even then. Like, my thing is that would have been worth it even then. I think he would. I'll tell you one other thing too is I think he would have been even better this year in the Knicks than he was on the Cavs. Cavs, he had no help. Here with the Knicks, he would have had Jalen Brunson dishing
no help on the Cavs.
Oh, come on! They look better because he was there. I don't think those players played above expectations.
Mobley and I don't know, man.
Mobley's good. Garland, I think had. I think one of the reasons why Garland had such a good year this year is I think because Donovan Mitchell was there.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, listen, I think Garland's good. Don't get me wrong. I think he had a better year than he would have had without.
Okay, but would Brunson have had the year he had if Donovan Mitchell was here? See, now we're playing this game.
He would have been down. You would sort of scoring drop a little bit, but you would have seen the assists go up a little bit. He would have had another option to dish off to. I think it would have worked. I think those two guys could play together. I really do, and I think that's why they were trying to make it happen. I think they would be great together.
Well, I guess
which is why we'll never know. We'll have to wait till we have Dame here to see how Jalen works with another scorer. Once Dame comes over, we'll worry about that. Damian Lillard, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, Abby, what do the Knicks need to do to get back into the series?
I'm really worried about them winning at home today. I don't know if they have the oomph to get over it. I mean, they need to do a better job at just boxing them out and they need to do a better job at rebounding too. Mm-hmm. And they need to get control of, Bam Adebayo too. He's had 2 double-doubles the last 2 games. So, I think that rebounding is going to be crucial. And I think I was reading like in the fourth quarter, I think they scored like 17 points just off of a rebound. So that's why I'm saying they need to get the rebound.
Which is what they did. That's what the Knicks were doing great in the first series. They were with the putback dunks and everything else. This series, it's like non-existent. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping. Listen, I'm looking at where to place some money at tonight, right? And I'm like, I would typically have taken the Knicks on a game like tonight, regular season. But I really just don't feel good enough about it. So I'm like, do I just put money on the Heat? And I'm like, I just can't put money on the Heat. It's like I never touch money with the Jets games. When it comes to the Jets, I never put money on the Jets for or against.
If you've been against them, you'd be rich by now.
I would have. I just can't. I can't come to do that. And I never bet on the Jets. Like I'll do my picks and stuff, but I never really put any serious money on the Jets or against the Jets. I just don't touch those games because my heart's too involved, right? With this year, I can tend to bet okay with the Knicks, but this is a game where I don't know what to do because I think they should have not mopped the floor. They should have beaten Miami. They should be up 3-1 right now. They beat them 3-1 in the regular season. This is a series that they should have been up 3-1, but they just have not played it. They got beaten on the 3-point range. They got beaten on the boards. They just do. They look like Randall's right. He shouldn't have said it, but Randall's right. The Heat just look like they want it more. They're young, they're scrappy, they're buzzing around all over the court. So I kind of got to agree with that sentiment. But
and if you're looking at their points quarter by quarter, each of the games, they're pretty much dead even for the most part. You know what I mean? It's just like I said, coming off those rebounds, playing better defense and things like that. So. Yeah, I'm not too confident about the Knicks today.
Me neither.
And then after Randall made those comments, it's like, dude, you better have. I hoped he squared away with this team. I mean, Stephen A. Smith was calling for him to be traded.
You know what? I saw that, and I got to be honest. I maybe that's what he put the idea in my head a little bit because I swear I started feeling it myself. Like you got to give up. Listen, if you want to bring in something really good, you got to give up something good to get something good, right? So my thing is this: he's good enough to be part of a package to go out and get some of that could help this team move forward. He's too much of a chance of being negative, and we won't go too much into this because this is for another topic for another day. But there's too many times when you got to make sure Randall's okay, like he's happy. Like you shouldn't have to make your guy be happy. He should just be happy to be playing with his teammates. Jalen Brunson has no trouble being happy playing with this team. Why do we have to placate to Julius Randle? Sometimes he's into the game, sometimes he's not. Like if you weren't happy here, then maybe he'll be happy in Portland. You know what I mean? Like let's maybe make him. Listen, I'll trade every first round pick we got for the next 6 years and Julius Randle, and you can pick RJ Barrett. You want Miles? You want McBride? Who do you want? And we'll send them over and we'll get Dame. But it's just not working. He's a nice player, but he's too moody for me, man. He's just too moody. He's always belly aching about something, but. Again, that's a talk for another day. Hopefully, we could prolong that. We don't have to have that conversation sooner than later. But, let's get into the Golden State LA game, the other game that we got to catch up on, the other series. There we go. Who's surprised? 3-1 LA lead in this series. Anyone surprised?
I kind of am, to be honest. But then I'm not with the momentum that the Lakers had from their – I forgot who they played their previous series. Sacramento.
Yeah, Sacramento.
Yeah, after I saw that,
it was the Warriors played Sacramento.
The Warriors played
Sacramento. Who did the Lakers play?
Memphis.
Yeah, there we go. After I saw that whole series, I was kind of like, the Lakers look a little legit now. So I'm a little surprised. But then again, the Warriors have been in this position before. So just because they're down 3-1 doesn't really mean anything to me. Like, they can easily just come back.
I'll tell you what it is too. Reese finally he's been quiet this series. Finally had a big game. AD, another big game, 23-15.
Mm-hmm.
Lonnie Walker is starting to wake up. Lonnie Walker had a good regular season, was really nice off the bench for the Lakers. And he's now had a couple of double-digit games in a row.
Really nice off the bench. He was unbelievable. He scored all those points in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter, yeah.
But I'm saying, like, he's finally starting to wake up. He's been kind of quiet in the postseason for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
He's starting to wake up now, and he might have been. He might be the reason why they're up 3-1 at this point in the series. I'm not. If I'm a Golden State fan, I'm not nervous. Like I've said it in the first round, they could be down 3-0. And I still feel like they have a shot to come back and win the series. Hopefully Toronto can do the same thing for you guys over there in the NHL. But I think that this team is built to score in bunches like that and to be able to my screen keeps going out. Sorry about that, guys. If there is my screen keeps going off. What this series isn't over. Like, all right, we're looking at Knicks 3-1, and we have that feeling like that series is kind of like RIP Knicks, right? Do we have that same feeling with this series?
I do.
Now, you do?
I do. Golden State looks like they look off, man. Like Jordan Poole thing is a problem.
Yeah, he got paid for a run, and that's it.
Yeah. Klay Thompson looked fucking awful yesterday. Steph Curry had a good stat line, but he was awful from three. And credits, especially down the stretch, Anthony Davis was defending him very well, made him put up a couple tough shots that didn't go down. But yeah, and Draymond with a bad turnover. This seems like this could be the end of this whole thing here.
What do you think, Abby?
I don't think this series is over, especially because they play tonight in Golden State at Golden State.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, Matt, you did a good point with Jordan Poole. He from last season playoffs to this season, he's averaging significantly lower. I think he was 16 points last playoff postseason. Mm-hmm. He's at 11 now. And then on top of that, they got to find a way to get Klay Thompson open. They need to figure it out because it's him not having any points. I think he had, I don't know if Patty can pull it up. I think he had 9 points last game or something. Yeah. Like, that's awful.
Klay Thompson, if Klay Thompson is only scoring in single digits, there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Just like bad shots too, and like I get it. He gets the benefit of the doubt because
it's Klay Thompson,
him and Curry, because they hit stupid shots.
Mm-hmm.
But when it doesn't work, and it hasn't worked more often than it's worked this playoffs, it just looks bad. And there's lots of time on the shot clock, and you're off balance trying to shoot a three, and you brick it so bad, like it's not even close. It's like, hey, that's not great.
There we go, right there. Klay Thompson, 9 points. I guess Patty was sleeping at the wheel, so I had to bring it up. Klay Thompson, 9 points. Obviously, Steph Curry's going to do Steph Curry things, 31 points. But he needs help. Like, look at
Well, he also took 30 shots.
Fair enough.
12 of 30. That's not great.
No, it's not. But you know, he just needs more help. Listen, if Gary Payton and look, Andrew Wiggins could be your number 2 scorer on the team. He's done that before. But Gary Payton shouldn't be like right up there with like in the top scoring on the team. He's more of a defensive guy. I need to see Draymond Green, who doesn't score, but I just need to see more from him though. I need at least opportune scoring. I feel like he's not even doing, he's not even scoring opportunely. And you know who's kind of disappeared a little bit. And he's not. I know he's been banged up a little bit. I was hoping for more from Kevin Looney. I know he's banged up, so I can't really. I guess I can't fault him.
Yeah,
but if you're on the court,
I think that's affecting him.
But if you're but then my thing is, don't be on the court. Like, don't play him at all. Then if he's hurt, then don't play him at all. If he's able to go, then he needs to be able to go for his full 20+ minutes. Get yourself your 15 boards. That might be one of the reasons why they aren't really able to keep up with the Lakers, especially with AD having a couple of good games.
But if he doesn't go, if he's not 100% and he doesn't go, like who's going to match up against? Who's the other person that's going to match up against AD?
Yeah,
like nobody, right?
I mean, Draymond probably, but there's definitely.
Well, yeah, you need somebody else because Draymond has to rest, 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah,
right. So you need
it's a problem.
Somebody else. So I think you got to play him because you need that body.
Yeah, it's tough right now. And again, like I know he's banged up, but like, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's tough. It really is. It really is. And again, when you got Jordan Poole, like listen, 0 points, guys, 0 points. Jordan Poole, who got the bag this offseason because of his performance last year in the playoffs, came in and put up a goose egg.
Well, I think what's more alarming than the 0 points is the 10 minutes. That means the crew was just like, nah, you don't have it. I don't trust you to get it. And then just like costly turnovers too. Like, nah, you're out. We're not playing you.
He's a guy that believes his own hype a little bit too much too. I think he reads his own press clippings and he believes the hype a little bit too much. You know, listen, he's probably if you take every NBA player, he's probably gets the most play on YouTube because of all the clips of him, because some of the stuff he does is fantastic off the dribble, and they always have it where he's flirting with some girl in the front row, right?
Always.
So you know, maybe he needs to just kind of
literally shooting a shot.
literally. I mean, it's one of the most famous shorts you'll find on YouTube right now. Is and it's always a different girl. One girl looks eerily similar to Kendall Jenner. But yeah, so like he needs to get his head in the game. I don't think he's the player he was last postseason. I think he got that money based on what he did last postseason. I don't think he's this guy either, though. I think he's got to be somewhere in between.
The year started off a little rocky for him.
It did.
Got knocked out by his teammate.
Yes, it did. Yeah, but you know what? He might have needed it. Like,
well, it didn't work.
No, it did not.
If you watch the season, it didn't work. Also, I mean, you don't see this very often, but Steph Curry at the end of the game when he got that ball, and he obviously forgot how many timeouts they had, even though they're just coming out of a timeout, because they had a timeout left. Yeah, and he just threw it out of bounds. He like went full panic mode. You don't see that very often, and I know it probably has a lot to do with the fact they called a timeout when they didn't have one recently, and they got dinged for a tech. So that must have been in his head, even though coming out of a timeout, everyone on the floor knows what you have left. You should, but you know, it's a moment of panic. Shit, I got to get it out. He just threw it out of bounds. Like,
he's usually a smoother operator than that.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
you don't see that very often.
Not from him, at least. No, you're right. So yeah, what do we think? Do we think Golden State extends the series to Game 6, or do we think this is pretty much it?
Yeah. Do they win the series? No.
Yeah, I still got Golden. I'm still riding with Golden State, man.
The Lakers have too much momentum right now. They're playing with grit. That's what's been carrying them. They're confident now.
Listen, they're not your typical. What were they? 7 seed playing. They added a lot of players at the deadline to kind of switch that team up a lot. So they're not your typical big time. Yeah. So they're not your typical 7 seed / playing team. But I still, listen. I guess it's one of those. I trust in Curry, man. I trust in Curry to the end. He's probably my favorite player in the league right now. Not right now. For years, he's been my favorite player. I got the Golden State hat on. I feel like somebody had to wear a hat, and Nigel's not here today. So,
wear the hat, man.
Oh, Matt's got a hat. Matt's got a hat. My bad, Matt.
The brewery in Vancouver, Strange Fellows. Free pub. There you go.
I tell you, every time I see a Matt post, Matt is at some pub or bar watching a game. Every single pub post.
Hey man, I'm working for you, baby.
I love it.
Research.
So he's always out tasting, watching a game at an establishment. You know what? Let's. I think they're going to pull it out tonight, and
I think they will tonight too.
I just trusted him. Again, I could be just a prisoner of the past, and maybe it's all for nothing. I'm gonna stay with my Warriors. They're my second favorite team. Not because they won, only because it's pretty much only because I just love Steph. He's the guy that I was hoping the Knicks would end up getting.
You're one of those guys.
Warriors took him one pick before we were picking, and he was supposed to be. Everyone thought it was like a foregone conclusion. He was going to be a Knick. And I think the Warriors picked him at 8, and we had the 9th pick that year or something like that. We were like a pick or two, but right after.
Who had the pick before? And they picked a point guard, or no, they had a point guard and they didn't pick. Curry.
I don't remember.
They had a point guard.
I'm so traumatized by the fact that my Knicks missed out by one pick that I don't know. But if Patty could look up look up that draft, if you could, Patty. Don't make Matt do it.
Let me tell you something real quick. So even if Golden State wins today, the Lakers have not lost back-to-back games since like March.
Since they improved their team
or something, yeah.
So there's always a first. Let's go. Come on, Golden State. But all right, let's get into the last night's games. We're gonna save Abby's game for last.
Yeah, save that game for last because it wasn't even much of a game.
It was the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves took 2 point guards.
See, he beat Patty again. I thought he was calling your team the Timberwolves.
Ricky Rubio, Johnny Flynn, and then Steph went 8.
And Johnny Flynn, I don't think he's in the league anymore.
No.
So Ricky Rubio
had a fine career, but that's a tough look.
But not a Steph Curry career though.
No, that's a tough look.
But yeah,
right,
you know what? There we go. He's 14-0 against Patty Buttles on research. So we'll move on to the Philly Boston game. Philly up 3-2, winning in Boston, 115-103. There we go. Patty's back with us. I'm not so surprised. Philly's playing really tough. They did it yesterday. You know, the 2 wins came off of big games by Harden. They didn't need a big Harden game yesterday. Maxey, maybe the best postseason performance of his career, 30 points, 6 of 12 from 3-point range. So he hit 50 from there. Of course, we get a big game by Tatum and a losing effort again, because Tatum never plays big in a winning effort. He only plays good in losing efforts, because Tatum is the most overhyped star in the league. He sucks. Anyway, but Embiid,
the game before, bro.
You know what? He scored 3 points in the first half or something like that. He was like 1 for 9 in the first half. He had a good second half. Too little, too late.
When it mattered, when the chips were down, Tatum came through.
No, he didn't come through. He didn't come through. He didn't. They still lost the game. Tatum, listen. We all can agree that Tatum is overrated, right?
It depends on how you're rating him. I think he's probably
as being a good NBA player. He sucks, man. I would never want him on my team.
Yeah,
and
well,
I'm a Knicks fan.
That we disagree on.
Matt wants him on Toronto. You can have him on Toronto.
I'll think about Toronto. Hell yeah.
Abby, would you take him on the Suns?
I don't think he would mesh in well, to be honest, with everyone we got. I like.
You know why? Because you have a good team and he sucks. That's why. He sucks. Anyway, but you know what? But listen, we still haven't seen any. Here's the scary part: Philly's up 3-2. They're going back to Philly. We still, even though Embiid's had a really fine series, 33 points again last night, we haven't seen an explosive Embiid type performance where like that signature performance where he just takes over a game. We haven't seen that yet. Are we going to see that in the series? Are we due for a signature Embiid moment?
Sorry, Abby.
No, go ahead.
First.
My bad. I should have called on somebody, but
you just left us to the wolves here, bro.
I basically was like, fight it out, dudes.
I don't know, and that's not because of Embiid. It's because of his injury. Although he looked, with the knee injury, he looked good, but with the knee injury, I don't know, man. With a big guy like that, you never know when it could just like you land funny or you push off funny or whatever. But if you get another game like he did yesterday, I think they'll be all right.
Matt said it absolutely perfectly.
There we go. We're saving time here.
Yeah.
So what are we expecting tomorrow in Philly? Are we expecting is it tomorrow or is it the next day? I think it's the next day, right?
It would be
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I thought they had a second day off in this break because of the travel.
I think Philly might close it out at home. Like Harden had a nice game if you look at the fact or how he actually played, moving the ball around, and Boston didn't really have any answers to like the Harden and Embiid pick and roll. Boston also didn't really adjust defensively to Harden. Like usually when he's going or you want to defend him, you want to push him to the right, to his right side, because he keeps going there and he's strong on the left. But they're just not doing it, and they're not shooting well from 3, and Boston gets a little too dependent on that to win. So I don't know. I kind of feeling the next game could be one of those games where Harden just comes out and scores like 40 points, and if that happens, then
sayonara.
Yeah, I mean, Boston looks so disjointed offensively.
Yeah. I think they need more from Jaylen Brown, because like Tatum, like I said, Tatum's to me he's irrelevant, and I know I say that joking around, but I do mean it.
They're D'ing up on Brown pretty good. Like they're getting tight because, the weakest part of Brown is his handle.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a very good dribbler.
No.
And so they're really kind of getting in his face early when he's got the ball and making him put the ball on the floor. So they're doing a great job.
Well, I think Brown's strongest point is he plays like he just that like every minute it could be the last minute. Like he plays like a man on fire to me. Like he has such grit, such toughness. That's where I find to be his signature attribute is just how tough he plays. And maybe that's why I look at him and I look at Tatum so differently, because Tatum I don't feel has that toughness. And I think that's the one thing he lacks and why he hasn't been good in big games, because he doesn't have that mental toughness. But Brown to me is one of the toughest players in the game. He's a guy I would love on my team. I think we're all in agreement that it's going to be a Philly, possibly Philly in 6, right?
Oh, I think so. I think it's done tomorrow.
Matt, you too?
Yeah, I think so.
Which would be a shame only for the one reason of it's been a really fun series. So I'd like to see it continue, but I want to see Philly close it out because I want to see Philly win it. So I don't want to go back to Boston.
I kind of hope Tatum drops like 48 just to piss you off.
I hope. I can't tell you. I'm going to make a prediction. He's not going to go over 25 points, and it'll be the most he's going to have is 25 points, and it'll be a quiet 25 points.
Okay, I tell you what. I'll throw another $10 bet on with you. I'll take the over on that.
Okay, 25.
25 and a half.
25 and a half. There we go. I say he's gonna do under 25. You say over, and I'm down 10. That'll even us out until there's more Blue Jay Yankee games. I just do not trust Tatum.
I wrote the timestamp for that, by the way.
There we go.
Video evidence.
There we go. So all right. So let's get into the last game we have to talk about before we get into some headlines. Phoenix and Denver. Abby, we'll talk about the hypocrisy of the NBA in a few minutes after this about what happened in game 4. But for last night's game, let's talk this out. Let's help you work through this.
So a couple of things. When that little screenshot was up right now, my eyeballs rolled so far in the back of my head because it wasn't even a game. It was okay. And let me set the tone for how it is in Phoenix today. We've already hit like 100, like 2 Sundays ago. It's been 90 degrees. This morning I wake up. It is windy. It's cold. It's going to rain. And I think it's perfect timing considering that the Suns lost yesterday. They got blown out. And then the Diamondbacks also got blown out too. So it just kind of sets the tone. And honestly, I knew from the moment the game started that it set the tone for the entire game. Once Porter Jr. started sinking all those threes, I'm like, this is done. Mm-hmm. And they basically played catch up the entire game. They come out in the third quarter, still struggling. I mean, they were down at one point by 24 points.
Yeah.
So it was not good. Nothing was going in. No one was being physical, no defense. The Joker was just tossing up threes. I didn't even see him do that the previous game over in Phoenix. So that is so funny how he had 53 points a game 4 and they still lost.
Yeah, it was like a Tatum type game.
Yeah, but normally what I've been saying with the Suns, it was it's been the bench that's been an issue. It really wasn't. It's just the physicality. And to be honest, here's what I think happens. I think we come back to Phoenix tomorrow, and then we head back to Denver. I don't really think there's a way we win in Denver. It's been like that. Look at how game 1 was. It was a repeat of game 1. It looked like we hadn't faced this team, and we came off back-to-back wins against this team, and we looked like we'd never played them. We didn't know how to handle them at all. And yeah, it was really disappointing, hard to watch. It was to the point where I was thinking of turning off the TV, and just I've had enough. But yeah, I mean, Booker had a good game. I'm a little worried because there was a time where he went out of bounds. Looks like he had his ankle a little messed up. Chris Paul, it doesn't sound like he'll be back, honestly, and I don't really think he makes that much of a difference either, quite frankly. Just no shots were going in. It just wasn't our day. Even Ayton, right at the rim, just doink. I swear I could hear it hit the rim and then bounce back like nothing. So yeah, I'm just not too confident in the Suns right now. Like I said, they'll come back to Phoenix. There's no way I think we lose on our home court. But having to go back to Denver, that crowd is hyped. It's lively. And because of all of these, the Joker and the Suns owner, and then KD getting a technical yesterday too, there's just a lot of it's hype. This game is hyped. Yeah. It's fun to watch. And I'm just, the Suns, they looked awful yesterday. Awful.
Could it be, Matt, a little bit of that Denver atmosphere that the oxygen levels being there are so high? Could they be the altitude that's really being an issue here?
I think that's a cop out if you're a professional athlete. I know it matters, but I mean, it maybe in the sense that Phoenix is so dependent on Durant and Booker to have huge games if they're going to win, and it's possible because they both can. They didn't yesterday. Booker was fine. He was good. It wasn't a huge game, but Durant struggled a bit. The numbers look good, but his shooting wasn't great. And to Abby's point of not missing Chris Paul, I know he wasn't like the player he was, but he's still an upgrade over Campaign. And they're just too thin after that, like on the bench after the trade for Durant, and they just don't have anyone that can really come in and seems like take the load off Booker and Durant. Like even Ayton doesn't look like he can be that guy. And I get it. He's, Jokic is arguably the best player in the league, and that's a tough matchup. But Jokic is just dismantling the Suns.
Yeah.
Having said that, next game, Durant and Booker could go for 85.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you could win. While I think Denver has a much better team, there's still a chance for Phoenix just because they got Durant and Booker.
Yeah, I'll give Nigel credit because he kind of called it on Monday. He likes the addition of Payne over Chris Paul because they're able to move the ball a little faster. They're able to be a higher tempo because of it, and there is a little something to be said for that.
He looked very ineffectual yesterday.
Well, yesterday he did, and in the game before that, I thought he played well. And obviously Shamet coming off the bench had a big game. It was nice to see somebody have a big game off the bench for Phoenix at this point. But right. Do we get a rally in the Valley tomorrow night, Matt?
Yeah. I want to say yes because I want to see a Game 7.
It's become my favorite series. I mean, I said it on Monday. It started off a little slow because it seemed like there was such a mismatch those first two games, and then we're really starting to see when Phoenix comes home how it's like the opposite, right? The mismatch went opposite.
Yeah.
And it quickly became my favorite series. I think is this Phoenix series.
Just watching Jokic,
the star power too on this.
It's everybody involved. He gets everybody involved. Everyone's involved in the offense. The ball moves.
Yeah, forward. Even the owners and the fans.
I was just going to go there. Perfect segue, Abby, because I was just going to go there myself. Yeah, he loves. Yeah, he gets involved. He gets the fans involved too, and the owners. So I know me and Abby spoke in real time during this, and I was like, "How is this guy not ejected from this game?" Now, when I mentioned it on Monday, Abby, I told you I stuck up for us on Monday, man. I said I went there with. And everybody else basically went against me, Ali, Nigel, and Caleeb. They said I was wrong that he had every right to do that. So, Abby, you're the Suns fan. Take us into what you and your family were feeling at that moment. I know you said your family was like irate. Take us into the moment where that jerk, Nikola Jerkic, came off the court and threw the elbow smash to the owner and ripped the ball out of his hands. Give us your take on it.
I can tell you that the whole city of Phoenix booed that man in the moment. And we were every replay, boo, boo, boo. And like my whole entire family, my grandmother was like, boo, pointing at the TV. I mean, okay. And we were talking about it. You bring your big ass over there for no reason. And then I kind of told you, it's just rude. Like, ask for the ball or tell the ref to get the ball. And you know how the interaction with fans have been in the last couple of years. It's just been bad. Everything's recorded now, too. I think there was that fan getting into it with Russell Westbrook the series before. So I would, if I were me, I'd try to avoid all fan contact at that point in time. But here's the thing. The owner had the ball. He was just holding it, and he's looking at Okogie still trying to get up because he flew into a row of like, it was at least 3 rows back of people all on the floor. Yeah. And you got to make sure everyone's okay and everything like that. He comes and just straight up rips the ball out of there. And then mind you, our owner did a little flop, but because of the angle with the elbow, it was at his neck. Yeah. And then, of course, they kick out that fan who barely touched him. It was just all stupid and unnecessary. Why were you over there? And, we talked about them trying to keep the tempo of the game. Oh, Kogi was still not up. He was not up. What were you going to do? So honestly, it didn't matter because you still lost. So
I think the rule needs to be where the ref has to, if the ball goes into the crowd, the ref has to be the one responsible for getting it back.
And that's exactly
not the other player.
Well, that is the rule. It still has to go to the ref.
But and that's so all right. So why was he not ejected from that game for going and handling it himself? And here's why.
That happens all the time in the NBA. The player rushes to grab the ball to inbound it. It's like Pat Beverly does it all the time. And it's just like grabbing the ball from the other team to be a pain in the ass.
What about the forearm smash? So that forearm smash.
It was not a smash.
It was
no.
Pat better play the video.
Yeah. Pat, play the video real quick. Let's take a look at this. Patty, play the video. He's got the clip.
Going to be strange to walk into this building and not see his smiling face as Phoenix turns it over. Now, boy, Jokic.
No, that's a flop. That's 100%.
It's a flop.
Appreciated than Jokic.
Come on, smash. Get out of here.
But he did it on purpose, and that's the whole point. You know what I mean? He did it like a get the F off of me, and I think that's very disrespectful to especially an owner of a team.
To that, I don't think there should be any difference. It should be if you're in the crowd, you shouldn't be touched, right? He didn't make contact with Jokic first. Jokic hit him first. But here's the thing: is if the NBA really didn't think it was any issue with it, then why'd they give him a tech in the moment, and then also fine him $25K for it? If there was no issue with it, if the NBA thinks there's nothing wrong with what he did, why did they give him a tech in the moment and then fine him $25K? You come in contact with a fan, you should be ejected from the game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, hold on. They didn't think it was fine because they fined him.
But that's what I'm saying. But so how is a fine's okay, but he gets to stay and he gets to play?
I think it was the right move. I don't think he should have been suspended.
Abby,
I think it was innocuous.
Should he have been ejected? Yes. And that's probably a lot of my bias speaking. Do I think he should have been suspended? No. Because I want to see, well, to be honest, I want the best matchup, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I don't think he should have been suspended. I think the fine was absolutely fine because it's a hefty fine. Ejected in that moment? Absolutely, yes. And he did it with that ugly face that he makes, that get off me. Sorry. I'm just still so annoyed with that whole thing. And now it's been trending. It's seen on TikTok. It's everywhere now.
I'm in complete agreement with Abby. And here's the thing too, is what me and Abby are asking for doesn't even change the series, because if he's ejected in that game, they lose the game anyway. And he'd be back for game 5 and they win game 5 anyway. So what we're saying doesn't even make a matter into the series. Here's who should be pissed. Here's who should be pissed. And me and Abby spoke about who this guy is just before the show. Draymond Green should be pissed, because we all know that if this was Draymond Green, he might have been gone for the series. And that's not fair. Matt, be fair.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is fair.
But why? Why should Draymond pay a different price than
because the past transgressions matter. They do. If you're a fucking jackass all the time, like Draymond is, he should have to be. And also, Draymond gets away with so much shit on the court, where he might, but because he's Draymond, they kind of let it go. But if you're going to be a fucking moron like he is a lot of the time, then you got to wear it when you get suspended for something that maybe somebody won't. That's part of the deal. If you're going to act like an asshole, I think. I mean, that's the same in hockey. There's players who are like the agitators who, like, for example, on my team, Michael Bunting, who gets smoked around a lot, but he's in the face and he's on the ground. So he doesn't get a lot of calls at all.
Like a Steve Avery back in the day with the Rangers. Yeah.
And where if it was another player, they would. But because the referees know it's him and he's got a history of always like flopping on the ground and drawing penalties, they go, nah, you're not getting it. And that's that's the way it goes. So
do you think – so let me ask this. This is the Warriors versus the Suns.
Yeah.
If Draymond Green does it, is he getting suspended? Same scenario. Or is he at least getting ejected from that game if it's Draymond Green?
Well, you know what? Draymond would probably run around the court yelling and swearing and doing all that shit like he did last time. So maybe. I mean, it's likelier because Jokic hasn't really
it
had
shouldn't
many.
be though. It shouldn't be.
But that's just the way it is, man.
You know, if it's gonna happen in February on a Wednesday night, fine. Then we could say, well, it's based on. But when you're talking about playoff basketball, where it's win or go home for the most part, right? I mean, 7-game series, I get it, but each game is so important. You gotta have everybody on a level playing field at that point, whether they're known for dirty play or not. Listen, you might keep your eye out and call more penalties because you're paying attention to it more often. But when something egregious happens, or not, when an incident happens, that's got to be a level playing field, a level. My hand's not going straight, but you get what I'm saying. It's got to be a level punishment, no matter who you are.
Agreed.
If it's the nicest guy in the league, he should be punished the same way. Losing your head in the moment is not as bad as someone who has a history of losing their head. Patty, are you agreeing with Matt? Is that what you're trying to do right now? He beats you every time. Every time, Patty, he beats you in looking for stats, and you still stick up.
He's a level-headed, smart guy.
I'll tell you what Patty just proved. Patty just proved he's a real sucker. He really is.
Well, and here's the thing too. Everyone's talking about the Suns owner flopping. What do you think Jokic did when KD pushed him, barely shoved? He was like, "Oh my God," like a deflated balloon. He does the same thing.
He's one of the biggest men on the court, and he's the king of the flop.
Yes.
Abby, I couldn't agree more with you. Wholeheartedly agree with you. Jokic, I wouldn't have suspended him. He definitely needed to take a seat the rest of that game, though. And it wouldn't have mattered. The series would still be the series, but we can't. I listen. And I gotta be honest. I'm kind of sick of Jokic. I know how good he is. I get it. There's something about
there's nothing to show for it.
There's something about him that's just not likable. Like, right? Is it his face? I feel like he's got a punchable face. Matt.
Oh, my mom says that about his face all the time. He just has that. And it's always red. And then, like I said, right before he pushed the owner, he made that weird, it's a weird smirk that he does.
Yeah.
But it's funny when he's talking, I don't really get that same vibe. But after he did the press conference, I think he kept calling the Suns owner a fan.
Yeah.
He
said he didn't know. He said he didn't know he was the owner at first.
I was going to ask about that because I couldn't point out the owner of the Suns. I know he's new, but I couldn't tell you who he was.
He said he couldn't. So,
but here's the thing: from a PR perspective, you better know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'll give the benefit of the doubt that he probably didn't know. I'll give the benefit of the doubt. But again, the first person that touches the ball and the ball is out of bounds has to be the ref. I don't want to. Players should not take it unless it's on the ground and nobody's touching it. Then that's different. If a fan has it in their hands, then it's up to the ref to go grab it and let the ref take it out. Jokic, mind your business, stay in your lane, and worry about beating the Suns. Don't worry about the fans.
He walked over there on a mission to intentionally do that.
To be a dick. He walked over there to be a dick to a fan.
Yeah, and the thing is, the fan didn't touch you. You touched the fan.
Yeah.
And then you got mad because you got touched again. It's well, then you started something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I told you, it's playoffs. The Suns don't have a championship, so we have a lot of shit to lose. Yeah. So there's a lot on the line. We're all energetic. You know what I mean?
How tough is the crowd going to be on Jokic Game 6?
Oh, I guarantee
you know that Phoenix crowd
probably the entire time. I know him and the owner, they made up, whatever. I think he actually tossed him the ball and was gave him a hug. I think he just did that for publicity. You know what I mean? I don't think he actually did that. True. I still think in the back of his head, he's probably like, F you to the owner. He don't regret doing that.
No. And I think the owner also thinks F you back, which it should be, right? Mm-hmm. This could be a nice rivalry in the future. These two teams going at it. Hopefully we get to see more of it. Hopefully the series goes 7, and hopefully Phoenix can close it out. I'm rooting for Phoenix
praying,
as well.
Man.
I'm rooting for Phoenix. I'm not a KD guy, but I'm a Booker guy. I love Devin Booker. So I'm rooting for them this series. Also, like I said, I try to root for our coworkers or our teammates' teams. So same way I root for Toronto. And I appreciate that. And I support the Suns, and I support the Toronto Maple Leafs. I can't really support the Blue Jays as often as I would like to. Sorry, Matt, but you got me for the Maple Leafs for now. Yeah. All right, so let's talk. Let me pull up these headlines, man. All right. So we talked about the games. Now we're going to get into interest high in Josh Hart, but teams expect free agents to do something. The Knicks. I think he showed it to be really great fit with the Knicks. I feel like he's fitted really extremely well with them. Do we expect him to stay there, Abby? Could you see him going somewhere else? Where else would he be a fit? He'd be a fit anyway, to be honest with you, his style of play.
Right, that's what I'm saying. No, I think they're going to re-sign him. I mean, he's averaging 10 points in the postseason, 8 rebounds. That's a solid player. I think any team, I think, like you just said, any team would be happy to have him. I think the Knicks know that as well. And so, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't re-sign him. You know what I mean?
He's a guy that could fill up the stat box on any given night. Now, he's not like one of these guys that's going to get a triple-double with 30 points. He's the type of guy that can get you triple-double scoring 10, 12, 15 points. You know what I mean? Because he's going to get his rebounds. He's going to get his assists. So he can technically kind of go for a triple-double as long as he gets those 10 points. Matt, do you see him leaving the Knicks, or do you think he's too good of a fit with the Knicks?
I think they should re-sign him, but I think there's going to be a lot of people interested.
He's probably going to get overpaid, probably because of this run he's been on. He's probably the same way we say about
him and Brunson are boys.
Yeah, they've been since college.
Yeah,
they won a title in college.
So I think the Knicks would be smart to re-sign him. He's a good kind of glue guy and works his ass off, and he's a good fit there. So I think they should re-sign him.
He's one of these guys that's a jack of all trades, master of none. So I get it. He's not a big-time player in any specific stat, but he's going to do all of them really well. He's going to give you his complete heart on the court. And he's a guy I think that when things kind of get a little chaotic, you can look to for some leadership on the court as well. So I love it. I think I'm hoping for him to stay. All right, on to the next one. We already talked about this. We'll skip 6 because we've already done that. G League to hold the international draft. I actually really love this. Now it's going to be for players that haven't entered the NBA draft and only for 18 to 21. I like this. Does it make a difference? So is the G League a better prep for the NBA than it is playing in the professionals in Europe? What do you think, Matt?
I mean,
we're getting a lot of this influx of great European talent.
Yeah, well, Luka was playing against men aged 16 or 17 ons, and you could tell he was ready to go from the get-go in his NBA career. But the G League's gotten better and better, and so the idea is to create like a really competitive feeder minor pro league. So I think it's a good idea to try and get those guys. So I think it's good. I mean, I don't watch G League basketball.
I probably will if they do this.
Yeah.
Like you said, and I think, and to be honest, I think the G League benefits more from this than the European player. Because again, I think the European player, like you said, you had Luka already playing in against men at the age of.
Where's Wemby playing right now?
He's in France.
France,
right?
Yeah.
He's in France. So, and he'll be coming over next year too. So he's a guy like you could actually watch locally, stateside. You know what I mean? And your team would have a chance at like almost like a first crack at him through the G League draft. But again, I think it benefits the G League more than it does the actual player because I think the player gets. I think the European League is just as good of a prep for these players than the G League is currently. Now, when they start coming over to the G League, that's where I think the G League will then take a step up, and it'll be better than minor league baseball. I really do think that they're trying to make almost a secondary, younger. Obviously it's already like minor league baseball. I think they're trying to get get it to be even better and try to sell those tickets as well. Abby, what would you rather? You're a European player. Where would you rather? Would you rather play just pro ball overseas, or would you rather come over to a G League team?
I mean, it's just, I would probably want to play with the G League. And now that they're going to make it like this, it's just going to be more competitive. So, if the guys are good there, it's going to be like an easier transition. So like you both have said, I think this is a good thing. I think and you even said, Gene, I might watch it more if it's going to be like this. And I agree. I may watch it more if it's going to be like this. It's going to be pretty similar to like minor league baseball and things like that. So it definitely draws an interest there. But yeah, I think this is a good thing. Right now, it, like you just said, it benefits the G League more than the players. But I think in a couple of years that'll change. Like, think about it. We all know who Wemby is, right? We already know who he is. Could you imagine if he was playing like in a local U.S. market for this past year, and we would have had easier access to be able to see him play every game? Like you'd find those games we played on NBA TV, like almost you'd see whenever there's not an NBA game to play, they'd be having that G League team on WNBA TV, so that or WNBA on NBA TV, so you could go check out some of these future stars. Wemby would have gotten some pretty good ratings for the NBA TV if they were to do that. So I think when you have a player that's a standout player like that overseas, and they would have played locally,
that could create a huge market for the G League, and that alone. And again, Wemby over in Europe is the guy. We already know he's going to be the first overall pick. I don't think there's any question about that. Could you imagine if he was playing this past season on U.S. soil? It would have been a no-brainer, I think.
Right.
And it would have been great for NBA TV, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so on to the next one. NBA announces the all rookie teams. I'm gonna pull. Patty, do you have it? There we go. There's the first team. A unanimous vote. Paolo Banchero. I love seeing my Magic's one of my other teams that I kind of follow because I'm a native New Yorker, but Orlando has become kind of like a home away from home for me. But
you have 12 favorite teams.
I have 3 favorite teams, Matt. So stop. I have 3 favorite teams. I have the Knicks, which superseded everything, right? I love to watch the Warriors. And then
you saw Golden State win a title, so you're like, oh, I like.
No, erroneous on both accounts.
Yeah,
I love watching Steph. I think Steph revolutionized the game, and I root for Orlando because I like I said, that's my home away from home. If I'm not in New York, I'm in Orlando, and
you'll be moving soon, aren't you?
I'm hoping to be down there for good come 2024. I was down there for a year. I lived down there last year for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then I've been down there just like sporadically here and there, but I had to come back to New York for a few things. So I'm here for this year, but by next year I should be back down there, and then that should be for good. So it's kind of like my home away from home. And so of course I want to have a good basketball team down there, right? I want to have a good team.
You're fun. Orlando's a fun team.
And listen, they're a young team. They're good. They're a team that if they add some veteran pieces to, could take that next step. Pull it back up real quick, Patty. I thought obviously Walker Kessler had a fantastic year. That pick was part of the Donovan Mitchell trade.
Uh,
wasn't that part? That was part of the Gobert trade, wasn't it?
Oh, you're right. The Gobert trade. You're right. My bad.
Yeah.
Gobert trade. Then Benedict Mathurin.
There's my guy in the middle. You better shout him out, Benedict Mathurin. He's a U of A kid.
He's all right. He's all right.
He's
go ahead. You can swing his praises.
Because I told you I love to see Arizona players succeed because a lot in the NBA, because a lot of them don't. A lot of our players end up going overseas. And like you'll if people ask me all the time, like, when's the last Arizona player that was MVP or blah, 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 or who's a good one besides this? So
I remember the Knicks
like to see
try.
But it's been like, they're like, when's the last one? I'm like, okay, it's been a little while. So I definitely like to see Mathurin. I knew when he left and got drafted so high, I knew he was probably going to have a successful career. I mean, Ayton, obviously, but Ayton still, I mean, not to get back to that, but he's soft. And the article is just like where from I think it was game 4 or game 3 railing him because he's not a huge like defensive guy. You're huge.
He didn't develop as much as I thought he would. I thought he'd be more dominant.
Exactly. And I'm just not seeing that. And
I thought he'd be a better scorer too. I thought he'd score more.
He's just up and down for me. It's not really consistent sometimes, but yeah, I'm happy to see Mathurin up there. I mean, he's averaging 16 points. So,
pull it up again, Patty. Keegan Murray obviously is at the other forward spot, and then Jalen Williams. Keegan Murray's got a hell of a future ahead of him as well. Listen, who would you say out of all 5 of those players, are we in agreement? Banchero was the best out of the 5.
Easy.
So, Patty, do you have? And just you can shake your head backstage. I can see you. Do you have the second team? He doesn't have the second team. All right, so I can read off the second team real quick for us because Patty didn't seem to get it. He wasn't, I guess. I don't know. Well, all right, so Jaden Ivey at guard, center Jalen Duran, who was obviously actually a Knicks traded him away. Who would be help on the boards this year for us. He would have been a good pickup. Jabari Smith in the Rockets at the forward spot. Jeremy Sokan for the Spurs at the other forward spot, and then also for the Rockets, Tari Eason. So we got a couple Pistons, couple Rockets. Both teams might have a good future for them, and we'll talk about the Pistons in a few minutes about what they're looking to do. But yeah, that's the all NBA rookie team. I wouldn't have been surprised to see Jaden Ivey maybe move up into the first. Into the first, like we got these forwards, these combos. Jalen Williams. I thought Jaden Ivey might have deserved to be up there before before, and I'm sorry, Abby, but before your guy, I thought it should have been Jaden Ivey. I had Jaden Ivey maybe, and your guy maybe being second team. Any discrepancies for you, Matt, on second team, or do you think that's how it should have laid out for you?
Yeah, that all looks fine to me.
All right, Abby.
Of course, it looks fine to me.
leave Benedict where he's at, right? All right.
Yeah. Besides
right.
Paolo, that was like a obvious one, and then I was like Mather, and I'm like, rest looks good.
All right, so let's get into the next one. NBA announces all defensive team. Patty, pull that up for us. Here we go. You ready? So you got, I'll go. I guess Alex Caruso. You got Drew Holiday. You got Jaren Jackson, who defensive player. Jaren Jackson was defensive player of the year. Brooke Lopez, who is like about 95 years old. It's good to see him kind of having a resurgence in his.
I like him though.
I like him a lot too. I remember when he was a Brooklyn Net for a long time. And then Evan Mobley, also fantastic. Didn't really play great. I think he could have been better defensively in the first round of the playoffs. Patty, again, do you have second team? No. And he dropped the ball there. Okay. So I'm only teasing Patty. Bam Adebayo at center, guard Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks, who probably will be playing in China next year. Derek White for the Celtics. OG Anunoby for your Raptors, and Draymond Green for the Warriors. Any discrepancies with this? Let's start with the first team, all defense. Matt, any discrepancy there?
No, that's pretty locked in.
Now, would you move anybody from second team to first?
No. Caruso, his numbers when he was in the lineup defensively were really excellent for Chicago.
Yeah.
So Derek White had a good year. Although it's Caruso, yeah, he's a guard. Is he a guard or forward?
No, Caruso's guard.
Guard, yeah. No, I probably wouldn't, man. I mean, I think that's kind of. I mean, I'm kind of surprised Giannis didn't get on there.
I think they said that he just missed. If they would have been a third team, he would have probably been the third.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue for Adebayo now, but I mean, consistently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we wouldn't have known he's just done so well in the playoffs. So I'm thinking if you're awarding those based on the whole season, it makes sense. So all of those, for me, all of them were fine.
Well, yeah, Triple J was so good. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't. I mean, it's hard to find a hole in any of those.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as second team, Abby, would you have moved anyone from second team to first team?
No, not really. Pull up that list again.
Well, he doesn't. I'll read it because he doesn't have the second team, so I'll read it. Center was a Bam. Guards were Dylan Brooks.
There it is.
Oh, he does have the second team. All right, my bad. So there you go. Draymond Green was the forward. Derek White was the other guard.
No. No, I'd probably leave it. Now I'm looking at it again. No.
The first team was just so good, man. Like they were so, especially forwards. Like how do you?
But I'll tell you what, you see some of these guys that when you look at with team two, you look at Green, you look at Anunoby, you look at Bam, and you say, oh, how could they? How would they not have gotten? But then you look, all right, well, Brooke had like an exceptional year, maybe one of the best years ever defensively that he's had in his career. And again, he's been in the league a long time. Same thing. You think of OG. And then you go, okay, well, where would you take out Mobley? Do you take out Jackson? Like so you had guys, Draymond Green, same thing. Like Mobley and Jackson were super deserved. I mean, they were both. Jackson obviously won it. Mobley was, I believe, finished top 3. So of course they got to finish ahead of OG and Draymond. But OG and Draymond, if you don't even think about it, you can almost be like, well, how do they not finish as the top? As the first team. But that's because I think it just got. I don't think it's a lack of what they did. I think it's just that Jackson had an exceptional year. And so did Mobley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, all right. So from there, we go to Pistons maybe looking to add established veteran to the squad. With such a young team, with a ton of draft picks, that would be, the thought process is Chris Middleton. Do you just leave this team alone and let him grow, Matt? Or do you add a veteran presence? And would Middleton be a guy you think would be a good fit?
Yeah, I think it would be a good fit. Adding a kind of veteran shooter on there because Cunningham's going to be back next year.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, are they going to make the playoffs next year?
No. No, they're still a ways away. They're still a ways away, but they do need a veteran. They do need a veteran presence.
Yeah. But I mean, there'll be a lot of options. Middleton looks like he could be the odd man out in Milwaukee because they might want to upgrade that.
Which they should.
Mm-hmm. So no, I think I mean that seems like a good mix there.
What do you think, Ad?
I mean, I agree. I don't think you can build a team completely around young players. I think it makes a difference when you have that veteran presence. It's the same thing that, I'm sorry to bring up the Jets, but what the Jets did, bringing Aaron Rodgers, you have all these rookies, and you're not going to get it done without a main person who can lead the team. And I think Middleton, I mean, having so much success already would be a good transition and fit there. So.
Abby, don't apologize when you don't mean it. You love to
bring up the Jets. I try not to talk about the Jets in the sense.
I'm sorry to bring up the Jets again. No, you love to bring up the Jets.
I spent my whole life talking about him, so.
So there you go. I think Chris Middleton would be a good fit. There's other guys too that you're looking around this league and you say, okay, listen, they're gonna need to move on from where they're at now. Could that be a spot for them? There's guys that just, what about Westbrook is a guy that's older and towards the end of his career, but I don't think he'd be a good fit. I don't think you want your young players learning to play like Westbrook, right? As good as he's been, as much as he's meant to the league, you don't want your young players learning to play like that. You know who would be? He's doing it right now with the Knicks, who might be a good fit for something like that. He's not going to take up a lot of minutes, gives him a little bit chance to kind of end his career, getting to play a little bit. Is Derrick Rose might be a guy that you could see them trying to add over there because again, he's not going to take away minutes from the young guys. But if you see what he's done with, he's been in Brunson's ear all playoffs. He's been a great guy in the locker room. They didn't trade him not because there's lots of what they were going to trade him. They didn't trade him not because of anything he's going to do on the court because he hasn't played since the deadline. They didn't trade him because of what he meant to the club in the locker room. That's where I think what they need over there. I think they need two veterans. Give me a guy on the bench that's going to be a guy that's going to help kind of coach these kids, and then also a guy that's going to be someone that's going to basically be able to be on the court and basically kind of teach them how to win on the court. Another guy who I don't know what his contract is, but we talked about him on Monday because he's coming back to the league. He's coming back from injury. Is Andre Iguodala. Might be another guy that would be a good fit over there. Play a little bit of defense. Teach these guys how to play hard, play tough, not play some defense. He might be another guy that I could see them sending over there. That would be good. I don't know his contract status. I don't know if he's a free agent at the end of the year. I don't know if he's if Warriors want to move him, but he'd be another guy I think would be a great fit over there as well. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on Bam? I mean, not Bam, on Andre Iguodala. No.
I think that would be a good fit. You make a good point, but I don't think Derrick Rose. I mean, I get how he is on the bench and his presence. And I'm sorry if you hate Derrick Rose, there's something wrong with you. But they need.
Well, he had some rough spots in his career where I could see people. But you know what? He's atoned, I think, for a lot.
No, yeah, exactly. But I think you need someone who's gonna be able to play with them and still hang with them, but not, like you said, not over dominate. So Iguodala that's a great option. I didn't even think of that.
But don't you want someone who can play? Like Iguodala.
But here's the thing though. If I'm the Detroit Pistons, I want a guy that can play. But I don't want him eating up minutes from my young guys. I want a guy that's gonna be able to maybe be like a guy coming off the bench,
going 10 minutes,
going 10,
good in the clubhouse.
maybe 20, be good.
Iguodala's playing 20 minutes. You think next year? I fucking doubt that. He's washed, dude.
No, you're right. But well, Chris Middleton. But Chris Middleton is also going to take up a lot of minutes because Chris Middleton can still do 40 minutes a game. Do you want a guy like that? Do you want a guy that's going to do 40 minutes a game? Or do you want a guy that's like 25?
It depends what you want. I mean, Miami does it too, right? They have Udonis Haslem.
Yeah, but he never plays at all. He's like,
he's there.
He's there, Derrick Rose.
Locker room, leadership, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Ooh, that came up out of nowhere. Yeah, you know what? I don't even know. Maybe Lowry?
Well, he'll be available, I'm sure.
Lowry might be a guy to bring over there. He obviously still wants minutes.
Mm-hmm. He'll be coming off the bench wherever he goes, though.
Oh, for sure. But that's a good fit. He's a smart. Listen, his basketball IQ is pretty good. We've seen it in this series alone. He's got a great basketball IQ. He doesn't mind coming and doing the scrappy things. He could teach those young Detroit players how to flop really good. So there's that. I think he might be a guy that might be a good fit over in Detroit. Maybe him and Middleton. You put that backfield, that backcourt together. All right, guys. We're gonna talk a little NFL news, but we're gonna take a short commercial break, and then we're gonna break into some NFL stuff. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes. So take your bathroom breaks, guys.
Craving your favorite theme park treats right from the comfort of your home? Introducing MainStreetTreat.com. We bring your favorite treats right to your doorstep. Visit MainStreetTreat.com today and go ahead, treat yourself.
Happiness is addictive. Passionate about spreading laughter and creating smiles worldwide. Happiness is addictive brings our global community together through humor, optimism, cheer, hopefulness, and merriment. Happiness is addictive. Happiness is addictive.
All right, guys, let's talk a little NFL news. Let's start with some investors in the Josh Harris Investors Group identified. This is for the Washington Commanders, the worst NFL team name in the league.
Right.
The absolute worst. It sounds like a local flag football team name. I mean, it's so bad.
It sounds like an AFL team.
Kind of does. It kind of does. Or like a Canadian Football League team.
Right.
You can go
or an XFL team.
You can go through the NFL team names, and you'll find names that are we're just used to them.
Maybe that could be it. But to me, off the top of my head, Commanders is the worst off the top of my head. But you might be right. Maybe you look at it and be like, you know what? I'm not a big fan of Tennessee Titans. Titans is kind of like that same kind of thing. Like, I'm not a big Titan name. I think that's a lame name.
Yeah, but Titan is like a strong presence, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Commanders just. I mean, there's so many better names they could have went with.
What did you think?
What I think they should have went with, or what I think of the name?
What do you think they should have went with?
I don't know.
I forgot the names that they were picking. I thought one of them
Warriors. I think there was a Washington Warriors. I like that.
The WW would have been nice too. You know what I mean?
The Washington Warriors. I would have liked that. I forget what some of the other options were, but it's like with Cleveland too. Like, I don't think they listen. I get changing the name. I have no problem with them changing the name, but Guardians. It sounds so lame. Guardians. Like they should. I thought they should have.
What about the Houston Texans?
Yeah, like that's just that's another one that's like so lame. I mean, I still wish the Oilers never would have left there. I was an Oiler fan when that was like when I was a kid. That was my second football team was the Oilers. I was a big Warren Moon fan. But yeah, I mean, but even like the Guardians, like they should have went with the old. What was it in like the 20s? It was the Cleveland Spiders. I thought that they should have went with the Cleveland Spiders as a throwback to the city of Cleveland baseball, or to throwback to the baseball in the city of Cleveland. Instead, they went with the Guardians, which is such a lame name. It might be lamer than the Commanders. It really might be. But anyway, so we're looking at this new group that are with Josh Harris, the investor group. Mitchell Rails. We have South American billionaire Alejandro Santo Domingo, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, and who I think he's a minority owner on this group, but he seems to go to places and really be part of winning franchises. Obviously, we know part of Los Angeles, the Dodgers is Magic Johnson. I like the addition of Magic Johnson in this investor group. I think he's a good face to have on your ownership group. Obviously, who doesn't love Magic Johnson? Even if you're not a Laker fan, I think you still got to have like an appreciation for Magic Johnson.
Incredible Twitter presence.
I'm not a big Twitter guy, but is he big on Twitter?
No, he tweets like he's got a learning disability. It's fucking, but it's hilarious. It's like big game by Kevin Durant, 46 points. they needed that to win. It's like, no fucking shit, Magic. Like, it's hilarious. It's so funny though.
Well, the thing that I think threw people off with this group is I think a lot of people thought Joe Gibbs was going to be part of it. He's not. He speculated at one point. So he's not. I think he's involved as like a
advisor.
An advisor, yeah. Which I got to be honest. When I read this, I was like, Joe Gibbs is still alive. Like
how much money does he have to put in? He'd just be like a.
Well, he owns, like, he does a lot of. He did a lot with auto racing, so maybe he has a lot. I don't know. But you're right. Well, same thing with Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson, I believe, is more of it for the face. He only owns, I think he's going to own 4%, but 4% is still like $200-something million. But but like, I mean, how old is Joe Gibbs? Patty and Matt, here's the race. Who's older? How old is Joe Gibbs?
Let's see who comes up with it.
Oh, Joe Gibbs has got to be like 90 years old, right?
82.
You suck, Patty. I mean, when are you going to win one of these? That's 15-0, man. When are you going to win one, Patty? Hey, Matt, you want to double duty as a producer because we might need a.
Do you want the show to crash and burn? Yes.
I feel like it kind of is with this film. Yeah. So Joe Gibbs, 82. God bless him. I didn't even realize I thought he was older than that. To be honest, I feel like he's been out of coaching for so long, and he was old then. You know. So yeah. So that it hasn't been made official yet. I believe it's not like there's some other people in the mix. But I like this group. I want to see Magic. I would love to see Magic Johnson get involved with the NFL. I think he's I like anything Magic Johnson does.
That's the one area he hasn't touched on yet.
Right, and maybe he can listen. If anything, Washington just needs to have like this facelift of what it stands for in this league. It's a mockery. It's a joke. It really is. It might be right now the most. When you think of ownership groups, might be the most hated ownership group in sports in general right now is the Washington Commanders. So,
easy,
right? I mean, it's yeah. I can't. I'm trying to think of. Don't get me wrong. James Dolan was very, very hated, at least in the New York area for the longest time. I think now things are getting a little better, so maybe it's lightened up on him a little bit. But Washington, I think. When you think about nationally, has to be like the most hated ownership group on the planet. So, or nationally. So, all right. So, former Titans left tackle Taylor Lewan's filed civil suit over 2020 knee surgery. The guy ended up he hurt it again in 2022 because he never fully healed. It's a shame because he really had a nice career going for him. And
he was a 3-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, and it completely derailed. I'll tell you what, I'd still take a shot on him. He's a free agent right now, I believe. I'd still take a shot on him with our line, with the Jets. I mean, we could use all the help we can get. Matt,
he's only expressed from what I've seen, signing. Yeah, he wants to stay there. And he's even said, I'll sign for a significantly less amount of money. But I do think it's very odd to have an injury to the same knee 2 years later. And I mean, if you read the full report, I mean, they're talking about they didn't use a specific skin graft. They damaged other ligaments around it. They didn't finish the meniscus tear. That's a lot of misses. You know what I mean? Yeah. And obviously the doctor who did it, James Andrews, famous. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's worked with plenty of athletes in there.
Right? I mean,
that's why it's weird. You know what I mean? And I think he's suing for like in excess of like $50,000 or something like that.
It was like me when I used to play Operation when I was 5. That's pretty much what this surgery was for him. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone remembers the game Operation. Like and again, you're right. Dr. Andrews is like world renowned. People from all over the world come to see Dr. Andrews. For this to have been the case, it's like
and then it's even trickling down into like, obviously I work at a medical school, but it's even trickling down to like how the fellows and the residents handled the aftercare as well. And I'm like, that's a big mess up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, what specifically went wrong here and why this particular case essentially?
100%. Matt, what's your take on it?
Man, well, knee injuries are tricky. I mean, it's not uncommon that especially in this sport, like his position is really hard on the knee. He's not a small kid.
No.
You know,
he's left tackle.
It's tricky. Like, I mean, if there was negligence, which he claims, but I mean, that's gonna be hard to prove, isn't it? Because a lot of the rehab is on you, the person, and the team, and I don't know, man.
I think like what Abby said though, when you see that they use the different skin graft and that there's other damage to come out of the surgery, like from jump. You know what? And again, like stuff that you wouldn't expect to see in a Dr. Andrews situation. You go to Dr. Andrews because he's the best when you're a professional athlete. I don't know if it's going to be that hard to prove his case because I feel like a lot of this doesn't have to do with the rehab part of it. You know what I mean? I feel like he was already.
Listen, if that's the case, and those the skin graft, whatever was factored, into re-injuring or not healing properly, or like the other meniscus stuff, then
I don't know if
he should get money.
I don't know if that would be a direct correlation. The skin graft part. I don't know if that's a direct correlation to it. I don't know how it works like medically.
I don't know anything about knees except I have one that's
I know it bends.
Surgeries.
I know they bend, and that's the only thing and I only know that because of the song. But my thing is even if it didn't have anything to do with the injury itself, it just shows you a negligence in general. Do you know what I mean? So that's my take on it. All right, on to the next one. All right, latest on Corey Davis, Jets wide receiver. Abby, I'll let you take this since you're my fellow Jet fan.
So, I mean, it looked like initially that, we were going to release him, but Robert Saleh came out and straight up was like, we're planning on keeping him on the roster. And at this point in time, it looks like we probably will. I mean, he's at the end of his third year, so we might as well. We could save $10 million cap space if we cut him. The thing is, though, there's no other really, I was looking at the list of like free agent wide receivers. There's no one else that really looks so appealing to me. And then with the stack that we got already with Lazard, Hardman, obviously Garrett Wilson, I don't really think we're going to be leaning on Corey Davis all so much, but I mean, he hasn't had the years that he has had with Tennessee. I mean, there was with Tennessee, I think maybe the year before, 891 yards, 984. He this past season, I think he had 2021. I think he played 12 games, 66 catches. The whole time he's been with the Jets, 22 games, 66 catches for little over 1,000 yards. I mean, he hasn't been as dominant as we expected him to be. Obviously, that injury factors there. But, I mean, I see moments where he looks good. And I saw that a lot with, I think he played in the Minnesota game. And some clutch plays on fourth down from Mike White. And so you see glimmers of hope, but then he's not clutch in another game. So it's just
he played best in the fourth quarters of games. I feel like
exactly.
Because you wouldn't see him all game, and then like midway through the third quarter, all of a sudden it would be.
He helped us drive the ball down the field, like in that Minnesota game, to give us the chance to win. We had multiple chances to win that game with like a minute left. But
so, do you hold on to him?
I still think I don't know. I still think we cut him for some reason. I just feel like it's coming and it will probably come later. But I don't know. Robert Saleh's comments, he's been standing by it this whole entire time that we're going to keep him. We're going to build a team around him. I mean, it's funny for Robert Saleh to say that considering he's such a huge defensive guy. I don't know. I still think a cut comes later on.
I agree. I think they're just holding off hope, trying to still move him and get something in return for him.
Yeah.
Because listen, he does what Lazard does. The only difference is Lazard's younger and he's always available,
right?
Unlike Corey Davis. So I like Corey Davis. He's been a good Jet for the couple of years that he's been here. But I think the same thing. I think they're looking to hold out for a trade, and then worst case scenario, if there's no trade to be made, I think you see him as a cut in training camp. Matt, what do you think? Would you want him on your team?
I like Corey Davis. But listen, the one thing you have to remember.
I have no problem with him. I'm not trying to knock him as a player.
He hasn't had a quarterback. So
fair.
But
he had that 1 year where Tannehill was starting to kind of like come into his own a little bit. He had that.
Hold on. I'm talking about on the Jets.
Oh well. I'm talking about throughout his career. He never really has really.
He was.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson didn't have a quarterback and went off.
And what about White? White was a good quarterback. I can't even say with a straight face.
Yeah.
But no, I get it. I get.
It's hard to keep. It's hard to keep. What does he make? $13 million.
It'll be 10 against the cap. If we cut him, we save 10 against the cap.
Okay. And so you got Garrett Wilson. You signed Hardman, and you still got Mims.
Yeah,
Mims. I mean,
and you got Lazard, who you brought in for Rodgers, so you know he's going to play. And Randall Cobb, who probably can't do fucking anything anymore, but Rodgers loves him. So now you're looking at Corey Davis being your fifth receiver or sixth.
I'll tell you who I'd rather do.
$11 million is a lot.
Here's what I'd rather do too. We got this kid. We gave him I think like $250K, which is high for an undrafted rookie. Brownlee from was it Southern Mississippi? Was it? I forget where he went to school. 6'3", 190 something. Looks like he could be the part of a really good receiver. If you look at some of his highlights on YouTube, you'll see it could be like an unheralded gem as an undrafted free agent. Abby, have you heard about Brownlee yet?
No, not yet.
Look him up when you get a chance. After the show, look up. I'm trying to think of his first name, but Brownlee, one of the guys we drafted as an undrafted free agent, 6'3", like that prototypical, like nice big receiver type size. He's a guy I'd like to see. You know what? Instead of having a bunch of receivers, but like Corey Davis is a good receiver. He's not anything special. Instead of seeing a bunch of receivers, I'd rather see some of these young guys. Let's try to develop like this young kid Brownlee. He looks fantastic. I'd like to see them do something with him and maybe move on from and save $10 million. Like Jason Brownlee, Southern Mississippi. Thank you, Patty. You didn't beat out Matt though because Matt wasn't looking, so Matt's still 15-0. Yes, Abby, look at after the show, look up and let me know what you think. Give me a text later about it because I think he could actually be a really nice player.
And you know what? And I don't know what they still see in Mims because he's just been really. I was kind of hyped about him when we drafted him, and then he's been disappointing and non-existent, literally.
He hasn't even been disappointing. I haven't even had a chance to be disappointed because, like you said, he's been non-existent. I'm tired of the coaching staffs telling us how he's going to figure into the game plan. And
he's not. That's like them when they were saying
it's either him or them. Yeah. It's either he fits into the game plan or he doesn't. And if he's not fitting into the game plan because he's not doing what he needs to do, then stop selling me on him. I don't know whose benefit is that for. Like, just cut him and move on. Like we're
not believing you.
At this point, like don't lie to me. Sal, I have too much respect for you. Don't lie to me about Denzel Mims. They could have gotten anything for him, I think, at one point. Get a 7th round pick. That's fine. Get something for him, though. I don't know. I mean, they must see something in practice. He's here. He's still here. But all right.
He's young still. I mean, he's not really injury prone. So, I mean, he can still probably.
Well, he's a place we don't.
I know, so he can probably develop, and I don't know, maybe Rodgers will help that, but I don't really see, it's just Wilson has completely outshined you with no quarterback, you know what I mean? Exactly. It's the vast difference between the two.
Exactly, 100%. So let me move on to Commanders inquired about Andrew Luck in 2022, and now the Colts are trying to get like some type of tampering thing filed.
Oh yeah.
He was gone. Like, is there anything to care about on this, Matt? Like, let
When's the last time he played?
I think it was 2021, right?
3 years. No.
Oh, wow. Was it that long ago? 18?
It was before the pandemic.
Yeah, I thought it was 2018.
Yeah, I guess so.
The Colts have gone through like 4 quarterbacks since then. Yeah, man. I mean, he's still not old, but
I feel like this is their owner, who's an idiot, who might be maybe the second worst owner in the NFL, being a jerk, just trying to get something out of it.
Well, like, what are you going to take 5 years off and come back? That's
what I'm saying.
That's like Michael Jordan type shit. And Andrew Luck was good. He's not Michael Jordan.
No. And he was. I mean, listen. He got. First off, if Indianapolis would have did the right thing with him and got him an offensive line early in his career instead of doing dumb shit with their picks, then they might still have Andrew Luck playing today.
True.
You know what I mean? They wouldn't have had to go out and draft a quarterback this year. They probably would have had Andrew Luck still playing today if they didn't go out and make some of these dumb.
In his retirement speech, I mean, the dude was emotional. You can tell that he knew he knew his career was over. He felt it was over. I don't think he wants to come back, to be honest.
Yeah, listen, he was a smart player. I think he knew.
Oh, I loved him.
Yeah, I think he knew that this is it. So let it be. But all right, so on to the next. We've only got a couple of things. Not that much. There's really not much of football news right now. Justin Herbert, 75% recovered from surgery. Thankfully, it wasn't anything serious. It was torn labrum. Well, obviously, torn labrum. Nobody wants a torn labrum, but it was in the non-throwing shoulder. So that hand that's sticking out, it's on that arm, not the one with the ball in it. So we don't expect this to have any long-lasting issues. Correct? You can move on.
No, that's your favorite, dude.
No, well, that's actually Caleb's favorite guy. That's not my favorite guy. Mine's Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I have the man crush on Joe Burrow.
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody has a crush on Joe Burrow.
he's so smooth,
fair.
man. He's so
Very
smooth.
fair.
But the Caleb's guy is Justin Herbert. Cal McNair denies influence Texans on the CJ Stroud pick. Not a big deal. He's the owner. He should have some influence on the pick. No, Abby?
Well, yeah, it's the same thing that Woody Johnson did when he said, I'm going to spend money. And
might have been worse, actually. It was even worse.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's not really like they have an influence, but they voice their opinion, which is kind of what you should do when you're spending all my money.
Exactly.
So the thing is, everyone made a big deal. They were saying that they wanted him to go defensively. The only reason there was any rumors with that CJ Stroud thing was because of that IQ test. That is the only reason it was being brought up, because he scored miserably low. I think like 18. And I think Hendon Hooker was the second lowest at a 43.
Well, you know who they say has one of the lowest of all time? Dan Marino. And Dan Marino had a pretty good year.
Yeah. And I mean.
So, you know, no Super Bowls to show for it, but I also don't think that Miami's crying the blues over having Dan Marino play there. So that wasn't his fault they didn't win the Super Bowl.
Right.
I
think influence is the wrong word, I feel like, in that sentence. You know what I mean? And I think they knew exactly what they were doing, because look, they already knew we're going to make a trade and go for third. You got my offensive guy, my defensive guy, and they were set. Yeah,
I think they knew what they were doing. I think the whole time they were taking Stroud, as long as Carolina didn't take him, I think that was all smoke screen, pretending like they were going to trade it. Maybe a little dangling just to see, hey, what would somebody offer for it? And if somebody came through with a huge package, then make the trade. I think so. What do you think, Matt, on that one?
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with you. But you both, actually. Like, the owner's allowed to have influence. He owns the fucking team.
Yeah, like, it should be a non-story. I don't know why it is.
You don't want it to, like, Jerry Jones goes full fucking puppet master shit. But you also look at it from the Houston Texans. If you're a fan, why? But if you are, imagine running it back with Davis Mills again. That'd be so, even though they're going to suck next year, that would be so dejecting for the fan base. Just getting a quarterback, a young quarterback, is something. It's going to sell jerseys. You're going to be excited. You're going to want to see him play, even if he doesn't start. And it's good. So, I mean, I think they wanted Will Anderson. Obviously, they traded up to get him. But I think, you had to take a quarterback.
I think they had that number 3 pick trade. I think they already had that trade already done before they drafted second. I think they already had that trade already done, because I think that's the case. I don't think you make I think they might have went Anderson otherwise if they didn't. So I think they already knew that trade was in the bag. They were already picking second and third, and they kind of, all right, who do we want to go first at that point? I agree. Owner needs to have a say in it. At least, and again, I'd rather my owner have a say in it behind the scenes than my owner how Woody Johnson did it, which probably cost us a couple of draft picks, because I trade 2 first rounders for it. He cost us a first rounder in this trade. I don't think we would have gotten. I think we would have gotten a better package had he not ran his mouth.
The
off.
Johnson family is not. Speaking of owners,
they're
not well liked.
They're
not my favorites.
No, he's a little bit of an idiot. Him and Chris Johnson is the brother. They're a little. I don't know what you get down there in Dallas and in Arizona, but here in New York, we get to see plenty of their idiotic moves and some of the stuff that they say and do. He's not my favorite owner in sports. I'll say that. He's not the worst, but he's definitely not my favorite owner in sports. So, I think they always knew they were picking Stroud. I think it was all like, just trying to like dangle it, see what they could get for it at worst case scenario. But I think they were always picking Stroud. And then on to the what else we got? The Chiefs planning to raise Patrick Mahomes. Is that too soon? I mean, I get it. They want to keep this kid, he's already, I think, third or something like that behind Lamar and behind who else is he behind? Jalen Hurts. He's obviously better than both of those guys. He should be, but we also need to say, okay, worry about putting this team around him. Why we give him a raise so quick? True, Matt?
Yeah, true. I agree. Yes. That's an easy one.
That's an easy one. Abby?
I mean, what is he locked into, like 2034?
It's like a 10-year deal or something, like 10 years left.
Yeah, you don't need more. And it's funny how, we talked about it before. These for like Joe Burrow and everyone's who's going to be off their rookie contract. I mean, the amount is just going to keep stacking and stacking and stacking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at some point in time, are you playing for money? Or are you playing to win a championship? And I'm sorry, Lamar got all that money. Really haven't seen him play.
No,
I know he was MVP one year. Still nothing happened there. Mind you, they did really good in the draft. And so I'm actually, I'm not excited to see them because I don't want to see any AFC team succeed except the Jets, obviously. But they're going to be fun to watch, obviously. And then Jalen Hurts, just a mega $1 million deal. You had your chance, and Mahomes just still proved that he's top guy. You know what I mean? So I just these amounts are getting ridiculous. And Mahomes, worry about just doing what you've been doing because obviously it's working. You know what I mean? Yeah. Your time is going to come. How much more money do you want at this?
Well, and here's the thing too: if you can't, you don't want to do it too soon. If you want to make sure he's the top paid player, quarterback in the league. If you really have this thing with him where you want to make sure that's what he is, don't do it before. Don't do it next because Burrow's still going to get paid, Herbert's still going to get paid, and so you're only costing yourself more money down the line because you eventually have to go again. And listen, Mahomes should be the highest paid quarterback, right? He's the best quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, because it matters when he signed the contract.
I agree with that, and that's why I'm saying don't sign him now. Don't worry about making him the highest. Let these other two guys get their contracts.
Hey, listen, you can live fine on $45 million a year.
He's tough though, okay. Matt. That's tough.
Yeah, he's going to be all right. But I mean, the way the NFL is, they're just a revenue generating fucking machine. So the cap's going to keep going up because they're going to keep making profits. I can't even see a world where the cap is
ever dips.
Flat or dips. I mean, who knows? Maybe there's another pandemic that fucks everything. But it's like in 6 years from now, there's going to be some quarterback. CJ Stroud's going to re-up for $65 million. And that's just going to be the going rate at the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about this, like Jimmy G's getting $23 million, 10 years ago.
Forget about that. Look at Danny Dimes.
He's made $40 million. It's like
$40 million a year. And
that's kind of the going rate right now.
And look at the kid in Cleveland. Is he worth that money? He hasn't. I mean, I know he missed
he was fucking awful last
year.
But
like the contract they gave him, you would think he came off of an all-pro year with that contract, and meanwhile he hadn't played in over a year. So there's a lot of bad contracts out there that jack everybody else's up. That makes it almost impossible to pay these kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it doesn't seem like Mahomes is one of those guys who's like, I have to be the highest paid. I mean, he signed a 10-year deal fully knowing what's going to happen. Like,
that somebody was going to get paid more.
That's going to be a bargain, and it already is a bargain.
Yeah,
it took 2 years.
And I believe they didn't start it right. It didn't start right from the signing. I think he still was finishing off the rookie deal, and it was added on to the rookie deal. I think is how they did it. So he wasn't really making the money yet. In fact, I think this year coming up is the first year he really makes the big money. I believe.
I mean, he's going to be rich for the rest of his life. He's all right. If that's something he really cares about to be the number one, then sign a 3-year deal. Yeah,
and do what Kirk Cousins did. Just keep signing those extensions of those franchise tags, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So what else we got? The last thing we have right now is Eric DeCosta wants to retain Patrick Queen despite declining his 5th-year option. Listen, I kind of call BS on this. Baltimore to pick up the 5th-year option would have been only $12.7 million for the 5th year, I believe. Roquan's already signed for a 5-year, $100 million deal. Yeah. What are you going to give Patrick Queen that would have made, if you really want to keep him long term, 12.7 for a guy that you want to keep long term to me sounds like a good deal.
Right.
So is this just some lip service by DeCosta? Abs.
I mean, the thing with Baltimore right now is obviously look at the Lamar Jackson deal. I mean, I don't think they know where their money is coming from at this point in time. I think they're still, that's why I think they declined it, because they're just trying to figure out how are we going to restructure this. I don't really get how it goes with like the bonuses and this and all of that stuff with the contract and all of that. But it doesn't sound like they're going to, I don't know, with them signing Smith to that huge deal. I mean, Queen is going to want not exactly the equivalent. He's going to want something equally as high, though. So
he's going to be more. Yeah, he's not worth $100 million.
No, exactly. But he's probably still going to want a significant.
I'm going to be honest. I thought he was a little bit of a bust. I expected him to be a better pro than he's been so far. Matt, agree or disagree?
Well, again, you are a big college guy. I don't know anything about him in college, so I don't know. I mean, he's been pretty good, but I mean,
if he was that great, they wouldn't have traded for Roquan. They would have traded for Roquan in the first place if he was really living up to his contract. I felt
12.7 doesn't seem like a lot for
a guy that you want to build that you say you want to be one of your cornerstones of your defense.
Right, to Abby's point, they just spent a shit ton of money on
Roquan.
Well, and
Lamar.
I think Lamar in 2025 is scheduled to make 70 a year or something crazy. You should have seen the breakdown. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Listen, if it's good money, if you can get it, right? If it's good work, you can get it. So, I mean, I wouldn't have paid it, but I'll tell you what, I'll go on record. I don't think he's I would have rather him than Rodgers. Not for this year, but for the longevity of a contract. I'd rather have had him than Rodgers, to be honest with you. But
Rodgers was always my number one choice.
Rodgers was always my number one choice for 1 or 2 years. But if I was looking at a guy that I wanted to come here and be long term, I would have liked to have gotten. I would have taken Lamar at that point because I know we got a guy that's going to be here for 5-6 years, not for 1 or 2. But back to Patrick Queen. So I mean, I guess same. Yeah, I mean, I think it's lip service, to be honest with you. And again, where are you going to fit him under the cap? You're already paying Lamar a ton. You're paying you're paying Roquan. You're also paying OBJ. Now that's $18 million right there alone. So I don't know where you fit him under the cap. There's a lot of other good players they need to pay. I don't know if Patrick Queen, again, not the guy that we thought he was coming out of college. I believe he was a first. Yeah, he had to be a first round pick. He's got the option. So I just not where Roquan Smith is. I think you already got Roquan Smith. Make him your cornerstone. Build that defense around him. If Patrick Queen wants to come in for maybe half that, I'd keep him. If I get him at 15 a year over 5, maybe like a 5-year, $75 million deal, maybe that's where you keep him with, maybe 30 guaranteed. I think that might be a fair option for him. But I don't think he can get more than that unless he goes and somebody overpays for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all right, guys, that's gonna do it for the show today. We're good job today, guys.
Well, not on schedule, but I did want to ask you something.
Yeah.
All right. NFL schedule is going to be released tomorrow at 8 Eastern. Yes. Jets, who do you think they're facing week 1?
Ooh, you know what?
I already know what I said, so I already had a whole video about it.
Could we see a Jet Buffalo game on a Monday night game as one of the Monday night games?
So I said Giants week 1, Monday Night Football, because it's September 11th.
You know what?
It makes the most sense.
Oh. You know what? They know what they're doing when they make these. I was actually at a Jet back when I had season tickets. I was at a Jet Monday night. Was either Monday or Sunday night? We played the Dallas Cowboys. Matt, do you remember when we played the Dallas Cowboys on 9/11 back in, I think it was 2011? You're a Cowboy fan, so you might remember the game. We beat you guys. I remember Darrelle Reeves had 2 picks, but we played. It was either a Sunday night or a Monday night, and it was our home opener.
Man. 12 years ago? No, I don't remember.
All right. What was 9/11? Because it was a Monday night. All right. So back when I used to have season tickets to the Jets, Rex put me in a bad mood one day, and I decided to not keep them. After that second bad Rex year, I got rid of them. But Patty remembers we used to have season tickets to the Jets as kids, man, and we used to go to and usually a lot of miserable rides home. So and he would tell you I was either very silent in the car or a chatterbox on wins on these games we won. But I that makes complete sense. I could see them doing that now. That would be a way to go.
I mean, I thought about and then I was thinking I also did a poll how many primetime games the Jets would potentially have.
I went with 4.
The max is 6, and I said probably 4.
I went with 4 with the idea that they might flex one later in the year. You know what I mean? So we already know one is definitely going to be a nationally televised game is our Black Friday game. So we got 1 in the books. But I do think 4 as well, and I do think it could be as early as week 1. And yeah, against the Giants would be a great fit, I think.
I mean, New York. I mean, no one else. I mean, the impact that 9/11 had on just New York specifically, like it won't be similar to like my experience being in Arizona. You know what I mean? My uncle and my aunt were there. They were evacuated and everything like that. And it forever like sits with them. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I just think, and they could have like a beautiful, like American flag fly over, all this stuff.
They'll do it anyway. The whole league will be doing it anyway, but they could do something really special with New York versus New York.
Yeah, make it. Yeah. Obviously, I don't want it to sound like we're celebrating something that was so traumatic. You know what I mean? But just a really way to like memorialize it, essentially.
I get you. Hey, Matt, did we have any leaks for Dallas? No, right? Dallas wasn't part of that. So what do you think as far as
play anyways? Sorry, I'm a Dallas hater too.
How many?
It'll be something like divisional.
3 or 4.
Like, what's that? What do you mean? 3 or 4?
Saying, like how many primetime games do you think you guys get? 3 or 4?
Oh yeah. There'll be like Eagles, Cowboys.
There's gonna be definitely a Giants Cowboys, right? I feel like they always play on a Sunday night. So
and also there'll be the Thanksgiving one.
You already get one automatically. Yeah, Detroit always gets one.
I imagine.
Well, we'll see. But guys, great job today. Matt, we'll talk a little hockey tomorrow because not tomorrow. I'm sorry, on Friday.
Friday.
Hopefully we're not recapping. Oh, Patty had to put that up. Sorry about that, buddy. Sorry about that.
That's funny.
Noah, God damn it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be honest, man. I had money on Toronto with him pitching, and they screwed me. I had him.
He came out and looked really good against you guys, and he walked another 4 or 5 people yesterday. He didn't even make it out of the 5th. He had 100 pitches.
It's a problem.
Man, he can't hit the strike zone. It's not good.
Well, hopefully we're not closing out the Toronto Maple Leaf season on Friday.
No.
We'll talk some hockey on Friday. We're going to talk a heavy dose of the football schedule on Friday about what came out, what games what are some signature games we're looking forward to seeing. So we'll talk about that on Friday. Obviously, some NBA playoffs. We'll be recapping that. But having said that and everything else, Matt, give us your last words of the day.
Go Leafs, God, please.
Go Leafs. We need a win tonight.
Just give me one win, and we'll be all right. Like, just give me one this round. Give me one. That's all I want. Just let me be happy.
That's all he needs. That's all he needs. Abby, last words of the day.
By the next time I am here, the Suns will either have won the series or lost. So I'm just going to say, go Suns. I hope they can pull it out, find a way to do it.
Go Suns. Guys, for me, have a great today, a better tomorrow, and we will see you on Friday.
That's the pop-off for today, folks. Thank you to all of our listeners, as well as our producers, Patty Puddles and Fareed Kameo. And make sure you tune in tomorrow to hear what these hooligans will pop off about next.